Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello everybody and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and you are back as we continue our 52-year journey through film. And of course, for this project, I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you today. You know, we continue our coverage of the year 1994. It's only one movie deep as of today. You know, we had Lion King yesterday, Ace Ventura today, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. It kicks off a trilogy of Jim Carrey films for us over the next couple days. We got Ace Ventura, The Mask, and then Dumb and Dumber, all released in 1994. What a fucking crazy run for Jim Carrey. But this, for me, just preemptively, probably my favorite of the three. I think there's a certain classicness to Dumb and Dumber that Ace Ventura won't live up to, but in watching Ace Ventura, I have the exact opposite feeling I had whilst watching The Mask, which was this is a lot better than I remembered, as opposed to this is a lot worse than I remember, which is important.
I think what this movie did is it just allowed Jim Carrey. I feel like most of this was just him being Jim Carrey. Like I think a lot of it was off the cuff, a lot of it was improvised. I don't know that for sure. I would assume that he was probably, the movie was centered around him from the very start, like that they knew he would be playing this role, so maybe they wrote around him like that.
Maybe. Regardless,
man,
let's play the groundwork real quick. Mm-hmm. Released on February 4th, 1994, written by Jack Bernstein, Tom Shadyac, and Jim Carrey. So yes, okay. it was written for Jim Carrey. And then directed by Tom Shadyac, and I hope I'm saying that right. If not, Shadyac, Shadyac. Regardless, it's a fucking cool name. Sounds like Caddyshack. But dude, I loved this movie.
It was very fun.
Like
very fun.
And especially if you're an animal lover, this is the comedy for you to watch. I think. Yeah, if you're like, you really love animals, I don't think there's a better comedy movie for you to watch. It's fucking fantastic.
Like, there's no sense of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a serious movie, but at the same time, anything can happen. He rolls over in his car, it's perfectly fine. You know, see it absolutely destroyed. It's fine. It doesn't matter. You know,
he catches a bullet in his teeth.
Yeah, like I don't know, this movie was just so fun, and it was like way more Jim. I don't know, this was the most Jim Carrey movie out of the three that I feel out of this week. Oh,
you know, getting the writing credit there, probably pretty important there as well. But there were just moments in this movie where, like, you know, it anytime Jim Carrey's a part of the cast, he's the one who's dominating the screen at any given point, especially when he is the lead. But this character was designed to dominate every room he was in, which was hilarious. And not just because, like, off the cuff, you know, when we look at these other two movies we got over the next couple days, he's playing like a loser who's down on his luck, kind of needing to get out of it. And this guy is a guy who you would assume is a loser, but is actually super fucking pimp.
Yeah, he's a G. Like, in the bed too.
Oh my
god. Yeah, he fucks.
3 times.
Got everything. Yeah.
I'm sorry, this hasn't happened to me before. I must be tired. All right, I'm ready again.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, jeez. I don't know. This movie, I feel like, made me actually laugh out loud more than the other. Like, Dumb and Dumber is hilarious. Like, I will get, like, it is consistently funny throughout like the whole movie. The Mask, it's like funny in concept, but not funny enough to really make you laugh.
Yeah, not
like,
in
out
execution. The idea is fun, but it's like,
But
this is just funny.
Yeah, like, oh, just pure It just felt like pure comedy the whole way through. Like,
it did, and a pretty solid cast on it. You know, Jim Carrey, Courtney Cox as the love interest in Melissa. Obviously, having been a part of the Friends cast, where most people will know her from Monica, and then Sean Young as Lois Einhorn, who is making her second appearance in our 52-year journey through film, as she was Rachel in Blade Runner opposite Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I recognize that. I was like, I was looking at her and I'm like, man, she's looking familiar. And I had to look it up because it was bugging me. I'm like, she's somewhere. I can't remember where. And then Blade Runner, I was like, this makes sense. Like, now I can rest.
Now I can rest.
But
Gwyneth Paltrow to Tony Stark at the end of the movie. You can rest now.
Oh.
No, it was just surprisingly fun. And you know, the ending probably hasn't aged the best.
True.
But even so, if you take it for the time it is placed, and the lack of sensitivity towards transgendered people, it certainly hadn't aged the finest.
Yeah, I did not remember that this is where that movie went at all. And
no,
I was like,
not either.
Wait a minute. I was like, whenever he was putting all the pieces together, I'm like, wait a minute, no way. Like this is where this is going. And I was like, But I mean,
even so, I think the point they were trying to make was that this wasn't a person who, it wasn't your typical transgendered person who was who felt like they wanted to be, who felt like they were a woman. This is a person who was absolutely batshit insane, wanted to
already like a murderous psychopath, like planning for the future Super Bowl to ruin the day. Like it was already not.
This was just another step in the maniacal plan. You know,
was the actual picture of him whenever he was fickle? Was that Ferris Bueller? Who was that? Like in the mustache, I couldn't tell. I was like, is that Ferris Bueller? I was like, I don't know. What was his first name? Fickle. What was Fickle?
Ray Finkle.
Oh, Finkle.
Yeah, Ray Finkle, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Has that picture like
I think it was just Sean Young.
Wait, no way.
Yeah,
I just thought it was, I just looked at it and I saw Ferris Bueller like with a mustache a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that just a joke? Like they just put Ferris, like, just for like this random picture of a football player. I didn't even think.
No, I do think it was Sean Young though. I think you could see it mostly in the eyes if you find that image. But yeah, I made the mistake at some point. I was curious about the nature of the 1984 Super Bowl 17. To see just how based in reality this was. The Dolphins did win the AFC Championship and did go to the Super Bowl, but they did not lose by 1 on a game-losing kick by Ray Finkle.
Damn.
No, yeah, they got their ass beat that year, 38-16. But
sheesh.
And to this day is the last time they went to the Super Bowl.
Damn, that's rough.
It is rough.
I mean, I guess the history doesn't have to be 100% right for.
No, definitely not.
But that's okay. That doesn't take away from this movie.
It's better that it's not 100% accurate. It would have sucked if there was actually a kicker who missed a game-winning field goal and they made the whole movie spin off out of that idea. That would have been fucking hilarious. But I just wanted to make sure whether or not that was the thing that was happening. Seeing the awards here now. Not a lot of wins. A few of them though. Got a Blockbuster Entertainment Award. Got a Kids' Choice Award for favorite movie actor for Jim Carrey. Oh wait, that was for The Mask.
Damn.
All these are for Jim Carrey for The Mask. Why are they showing up under Ace Ventura?
Yeah, what the heck? That's a little strange.
Goofy. Maybe it was like he did so good this year. We're giving him awards for multiple movies.
He did that good He just has to have awards across the board. And it's like a triangle. The Dumb and Dumber Awards, it was actually his Ace Ventura Awards. His Ace Ventura Awards were actually The Mask, and then The Mask was actually Dumb and Dumber. So.
Right. There you go. Just to really fuck with the people. But this was something that I hadn't revisited in a really long time, and I didn't remember a lot of the parts. But as soon as we kick this movie off and he's just destroying a package, like absolutely obliterating it in every way he possibly can. Oh, looks like it was something nice. But if you just go ahead and sign here, and immediately framing him as the guy who's saving animals from shitty homes is automatically going to make for some good movie. But this one that you've got in the center screen right now is definitely one of my favorites. Listen, pet dick, how would you like me to make your life a living hell? Well, I'm not really ready for a relationship, Lois, but thank you for asking. Hey, maybe I'll give you a call sometime. Your number's still 911? Alrighty then.
Oh my god. The way he's just, like, his mannerisms, like, really? Or, alrighty then. And like, just the way he spoke, like, he, like, cut himself off sometimes, like, just to end the conversation. Like, oh my god, I don't know. It was just definitely his best role. Like, this was the role of these three movies that fits Jim Carrey the best. He killed it. Like,
this is interesting. Looking through some trivia, the voice of Ace Ventura was and the manner in which he speaks was added by Jim Carrey only after several read-throughs of the script. The voice was something that Jim Carrey used in his stand-up routine, and the "alrighty then" was the catchphrase of one of his stand-up characters. And after the lines from the script weren't feeling right, he added it to the script and read through it again using that voice. And it was like an immense improvement upon what the movie was originally envisioned to be. So maybe he wasn't originally a writer. He came on, saw the script, and was like, here's what I can do to make this better. And they were like, that's a writing credit.
Damn. You did so good that I would love to believe that. Yeah, that sounds right. Maybe this was one of the movies where they were just like, you know what? We do just have this great talent here, and this is where he shines. Just let him shine. Just let the guy go.
Loser!
Yeah, he's eating sunflower seeds, and picking them out, putting them on the desk.
Disgusting habit.
Do you like an ashtray? No, I don't smoke. It's a disgusting habit. Like, just so, oh my god. Like, there were just so many
seeds all over his fucking teeth and everything. That shit was hilarious.
Man.
Hi, I'm Melissa Robinson. Pleasure to meet you. Did you have any trouble getting in? No, the guy with the rubber glove was surprisingly gentle.
Sorry, security's tight around the Super Bowl. Man, I don't know.
Mad because your stupid little pebble theory didn't work out, and you don't know how to express your anger. Oh yeah, and you're ugly. Like
saddlebags. What else did he like? They were just going like back and forth at each other, like right. As she walked away. Oh man, like I don't know. There was just so many.
Holy testicle Tuesday!
Your gun is rubbing against my hip. Oh man, like, man,
I came to confess. I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll.
Man, I don't know. I wonder, like, the percentage of what was, like, just, they had the idea of what they wanted to happen, and then they were just like, just action, just go. I wonder how much of it was just...
I'd be willing to bet if you have Jim Carrey on your movie and it's a comedy, you let him go as much as you can, just because he's that fucking funny. But I really do just like the general premise of this film, is as we're comparing it to these other Jim Carrey movies. The very story is actually one of the more entertaining ones. The idea that the Dolphins mascot has been kidnapped, and they need to bring in a pet detective to find said dolphin.
Mind you,
along the way there are murders and all of this. It's like a real fucking investigation.
Low-key, who's a better detective? Batman or Ace Ventura.
Hey, yo, I'm telling you, if we just did like the World's Detective Association and it was just Batman, Ace Ventura, and Sherlock Holmes, Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock
Get
Holmes.
Matt Murdock in there, I guess.
Yeah, Matt Murdock can
on
be
the law and the detective side.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
It'd be a
there
cool
you go.
combo.
Yeah, and I mean every crime. There's no crime unsolved, if you ask me.
The yelling through the door. He just opens, close, opens. Like, oh my god. Oh, there's. Dang it. I just had another. I had another moment that was. Oh yes. He was sneaking around to try to find Snowflake, and then whenever he's finding the shark, but before he gets there, he's sneaking around and
then he fucking slams the door.
He like climbs over the fence and he holds on to like the brick, but he's just standing there and he opens the door and like swings in. Like, oh man, like,
it's hilarious because he was just right there, and then he jumps over the fence, creeps out, and then he fucking slams that door and keeps sneaking. Like, the things he did were so counterproductive, and it was like, this guy's like, it's a comedy and therefore that's all it is, but it felt like this guy's just mad confident. He's like, doesn't matter what I do.
Parking spot, at like 500 miles an hour, like a glove, man, he was just, his physical comedy and his like facial structure comedy that he does, along with his just spoken comedy, was just like, it was just a perfect combination here.
There was one moment in this movie that I thought was like outstandingly funny, that like he said a couple things, but like it was mostly just what he was doing. He when they showed him the tank for the first time, and he went down to the little filter that was the camera, and like he had his face up in it talking to it and stuff. I thought that shit was hilarious.
He just had so like, low-key kind of smart. They put a lot of moments in here where it was like, you know what? That was actually a smart, like, big brain detective move. Like, right. Which was funny. I don't know. This is just funny that when they first saw the film, they thought that this movie might end their careers.
The director and Jim Carrey.
And the director's careers, which is just kind of funny. I wonder, like, for what reason that would be, like,
whenever he solves the very first one and gets the dogs back to the chick, and she's like, how can I repay you? And he grabs the fucking door sill and fucking swings around.
Whoa! Yeah,
you're really friendly out here, aren't you?
Wait, what? Apparently Rick Moranis was supposed to play Ace Ventura first.
Oh, no shit.
Who does he play?
Rick Moranis was Dark Helmet.
Oh! Dark Helmet as Ace Ventura? What? Imagine that world. Wow. Wait, so that means they weren't going to go with Jim Carrey first?
Which also shows us that Jim Carrey did not have a hand in writing it, came onto the project, and rewrote the script.
That's amazing. Wow.
That's fantastic. Homicide, Ventura. How are you going to solve that one? Good question, Aguado. First, I'd establish a motive. In this case, the killer saw the size of the bug's dick and became insanely jealous.
Oh my god!
Then I'd lose 30 pounds.
Everything.
Porkin' his wife.
Oh, he had to come back for everything, man. And like, everyone loved him too. It was like,
and they all wanted to hate him.
Yeah, it was all a love-hate. It was like, like, we just got to stand. We just got to, like, endure his mannerisms, whatever. We just got to get through it. He talking to an ass, like Jim Carrey's using his ass cheeks to talk. Like, you just got to endure that because this dude is goated as a detective. He's actually goated. And they need him sometimes, it seems. He walks in there like he owns the place. So
yeah, and he's there's a lovable quality about him, obviously, because he works with animals. Like when Melissa asks him, like, have you ever considered becoming a real detective? You can tell he doesn't, like, it's not just that he doesn't do people. It's that nobody, like, throughout this entire thing, nobody else is giving a shit about the animals. He's the only one who's ever looking out for animals in this movie.
Yeah, he said, when I find Snowflake, then I'll look for Marino.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like so many, I don't know. And the whenever he went over to the guy who they first thought stole Snowflake, the rich guy's house.
Yeah, and he snuck through the bathroom and stuff.
Whenever he's telling him, like, he was a lawyer, and then he just went off on him. Like, someone can make their entire law practice just out of that. It's like he was just like going, like, just going in, like, just going off. I don't know. It was so, like, I don't know, he just was perfect for this role. Like, there was not a time in this movie where he wasn't just killing it. Like, he was always on, like, the
Ventura,
whole time.
when I get out of that bathroom, you better be gone. Is it number 1 or number 2? I just want to know how much time I have.
You ever heard of the Ray Finkel or whatever? And then, wait a minute, like that's interesting. I guess that's kind of a part of the movie that I didn't even like think about, is that is Finkel right there, and he just put all the pieces together right in front of
him. Right in front of Finkel.
Yeah, and like,
so she
was like, you know what,
turns it around on him and is like, all right, you know what, the way to get you off the scent is to kiss you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Your gun's lodged into my hip. You
see every cop, when they realize that it's Finkel, that they all start to spit. So you realize that it's just going around to the whole police force, which was funny.
One of my favorite lines in this movie was like one of the last, when Dan Marino and Ace are driving back to the fucking stadium, and he's like, "Hey Ace, yeah Dan, you got any more of that gum? That's none of your damn business, and I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs." I was like, what the fuck? Dude, I love this dude.
He's just electric. No matter what, can turn any situation into any, like, man. Yeah, who would have thought just having a guy deliver a package, or like whatever, would just be so entertaining to watch. Like, it was just so, the opening like 10 minutes of the movie were just so awesome. Like, he was just like, oh my God, like, yeah, this movie's it. Like, I don't know.
It probably wasn't before I watched it this most recent time, but I leave this going, this might be a comedy that most people need to watch. Like, if you're like, what is the standouts in the comedy genre? I think this is up there.
I mean, alrighty then. That line in itself is like iconic. Everyone knows that, whether they know where it comes from or not. Everyone knows that line. Like,
right.
I feel like most people know of Ace Ventura, though. I'd say it's like it's
a pretty classic.
It's a
movie.
staple, I'd say. Like, yeah, like, this is, I don't know.
Well, because I mean, Jim Carrey comedies in general are pretty. Like, those are typically ones that, especially the 90s comedies that he did, those are always like pretty classic films, regardless of seriousness. And we've got one more coming up in a few years, I think, and The Truman Show, which will be fun.
Yeah,
and that is my personal favorite Jim Carrey role of all time. But
yeah, I can't wait to watch that one. I'm excited. That one I'm looking forward to whenever we get there. So
yeah, it's fantastic. But Ace Ventura, though, like on his comedy side, that's as fun as it gets. This is one of the better movies in his arsenal for my money.
I wonder if no, because I guess, would he be filming The Mask while he was also filming Ace Ventura, or probably a little over, like,
there's probably a little overlap at some point, but
it feels like The Mask was trying to do what Ace Ventura did, but just executed like a little under par, like, for what Ace Ventura did. Right. It'd be more interesting if The Mask came out first, then Ace Ventura. That would make a little more sense. Like, maybe they got it a little wrong, and then Ace Ventura, they tweaked it a little bit and got it right. But I don't know.
Course correction. No, yeah, I think there is certainly something to that idea in terms of like the hero that Ace Ventura is playing. Like, they really knocked it out of the park with Ace Ventura, and then fumble the bag in The Mask. But regardless, it's funny all in all. I don't think that I've ever, like, with a comedy specifically, watched something that I haven't watched in years and thought it was funnier when I revisited it. Usually with a comedy, it's like, this isn't as funny as I remember. Like, that happens more often than not. Your taste in comedy evolves if those aren't the staples of your taste in comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this was just timeless comedy, though. Like, most of it was just Jim Carrey being stupid, like, it was just him acting stupid and just being hilarious. And I don't know. Like throughout this entire movie, like I was legitimately like laughing and having a good time, like watching this movie. Like The Mask, was more of just like, all right, I'm sitting through this movie. This is entertaining, I guess. I'm being entertained, but like this movie, I like thoroughly enjoyed.
It's super, super enjoyable film.
And like thinking about rewatchability too, like this is definitely a movie I can come back to. I mean, I don't know. This surprised me because before going into this week, I thought that like Dumb and Dumber and The Mask were two of Jim Carrey's, like those were his like like, but now I'm more of like, I think Ace Ventura is like his strongest movie now. Like that's his strongest, and Dumb and Dumber is just an overall great movie, but he dominates this one. Like I don't know. He's the lead, which in Dumb and Dumber you have two leads, I guess.
As I was watching it, they were up in the apartment investigating the death of the coach or the whatever the guy was, Proctor or whatever the fuck. And whenever they were like, she answers the phone and they're like, he's committed suicide. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I was like, that's no good turn. Yeah. And then like it becoming a murder, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for the movie we're watching.
Did you happen to notice that drop of blood over there on the railing? And then the way he solves that whole thing, like,
it was at that part that I was like, this is an extremely rewatchable movie.
Oh yeah. We're detectives and we have to rely on this little thing called evidence. Whoa, yeah. And then he just get like, this is
like, one more thing,
neighbor.
detective.
Yeah.
One more thing, Lieutenant.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. This will, I've wanted to put movie posters up in my room for the longest time. And I've been going back and forth of what movie poster specifically I want. Because I want, one, the movie to be impactful to me and good and fantastic, but also the poster itself has to look good.
Of course.
Because like a movie like A Clockwork Orange, which I loved and impacted me, I think a whole lot on, it was a very early movie in this list. A movie that I latched onto. The poster, has like rape, ultra violent, like very, just like, it's not a great poster just to put up in your room,
right.
So
this
like
is
it's like that
classic fucking poster.
After I watched this movie, I'm like, oh, okay. If this poster is looking good, I think it's going up there. And I was like, I'm liking
that poster
it.
Is fucking awesome. With
I
him
am
holding out the ID.
Loving it. Yeah. So like this is joining my my wall for sure.
I think you'll find like there are Jim Carrey is always kind of hitting with the poster side of things. His movies always got the poster game because I'm thinking The Mask. Like, if there's anything redeeming about that movie, it's the fucking poster and Jim Carrey. But
it's clean.
Along with that, The Truman Show, fucking stellar movie poster. Mr. Popper's Penguins. That was the one I was talking about. The second one up there. Yeah.
This one?
That's the one I remember with him on the billboard.
Oh, I can't wait for this movie. Oh my
God.
it's
so fucking good. I can't wait to talk about it. It's like, after rewatching it recently, I think it's undoubtedly like one of my favorite movies of all time. But
maybe that poster will be joining my wall then. Because I've heard it's right up my alley, that movie.
Yes. Big time.
So I'm ready. I am ready.
Just about a month away, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, about a month away on July 15th. But yeah, I frankly I didn't expect this to be one that we talked an overwhelming amount about. It is a very simple film. There isn't a ton of nuance. It's relatively straight to the point and just very funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's all it really is to have a somewhat story that is good enough to keep you into the movie and just to like allow you to experience all the comedy that comes with it. Like,
Right.
because I mean, it is a good enough story to where you're like, I kind of want to know what happens here. Like,
Exactly.
this
I
is
want to know
kind of
who
good. Like,
stole the fucking
damn,
dolphin.
okay, I need to know if this dolphin's okay. You know, like, yeah, I don't know. It was fantastic, like all around. Like, I don't know. This movie was just great. I know, it surprised me. Definitely surprised me out of the three Jim Carrey movies the most.
It's funny at the beginning of the movie when I like literally had no idea where the movie was going. And the dolphin gets kidnapped, and the guy who took care of her was like it was probably those animal rights activists that are out there with their signs every day. And I was like, oh, okay. And I ran with that in my head. Like, what if it is the animal rights activists, and it turns out that the Miami Dolphins are actually treating this dolphin really, really bad. And then Jim Carrey comes to find that and realizes he's on the animal rights activist side. He has to aid. And it's like, didn't work out like that.
He does give him like a good little shout out though. And I think it was either in the police station or I don't know who he was talking to, but he was like, "What do you know about this organization?" He's like, "Oh," and then he just lists off everything about them and like all the good they do and everything.
Right.
It's like, you know, and whatever. So that it was like kind of cool. Every time that there was anything against animals, he was always like, "Oh no, let me just destroy you with logic and fact." Like, yeah, it just went off. But oh man, what a movie! Like it surprised me so much. I did not expect this out of this movie. But
I didn't either. I thought this was going to be my least favorite of the three revisiting, and I think I'm going to leave it with my favorite of all of them, which is just I never would have seen that coming. But god damn. Yes, Carrey, yes, man. Oh yes, can you feel that, buddy? I have exorcised the demons. The house is clean.
It's insane how they just come up with those lines. Like one-liners that just make sense for that situation. Like I don't know. Comedy is insane to me. Like because making someone laugh is hard. Like that is so hard to make someone laugh.
Right.
Like legitimately belly laugh. And like I don't know, there was like I don't know. I was just enjoying myself for this movie. Like this was just a super fun movie that I consistently, legitimately laughed. I guess we talked about a benchmark of how many tissues a movie takes. You know, and maybe this is a good benchmark for a movie of how well it impacted you. But maybe how many out loud laughs you had during a movie is the benchmark for a comedy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many out loud laughs I had.
I had a few.
I'd say like probably count them on two hands, but still that's high.
That's like, high if I'm watching a movie alone.
High. Like
it's crazy.
Like being an internet person, you know, being on the internet all the time, I'm stone faced looking at stuff that should make you laugh, and I'm only laughing internally. You know, I don't laugh out loud. All my feelings are suppressed.
A little nose exhale.
Yeah. So, but no, when this, like, I was legitimately laughing in this movie, and I don't know. I think that's hard to do, especially for a movie that came out in 1994 that we're watching in 2022. So,
yeah, like
2021, 2022. Sorry, I always forget what year it is.
Yeah. But we talk about how comedy is generally like a really good way to frame the sort of morality and general times. You know, like what was funny at the time can kind of reflect the times pretty well, and I think it says a lot that a movie like this has aged as funny as it has. And there are some problematic things towards the end of the movie that are a little like, well, that's not in great taste, but for 1994, it's also not terrible, which is, I think, like a relatively good thing.
It could have been worse, I guess you could say. It could have been a lot worse. And
yeah, right. It definitely could have. They handled the things they handled wrongly well.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm thinking to the range of this movie, and I don't know. This is I know one of them is really high. I'm curious on how, like, where the other, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm curious to where your head's at. on this movie.
All I know is that Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and burn in hell.
Oh yeah, that mom, man, made the cookies, in the shape of the football, laces out.
He'll be back any minute.
Oh yeah. Oh man. So the engine's on, but no one's behind the wheel or something like that.
I was like, God damn.
Man.
If this wasn't a comedy, this would be sad.
That's true. This is kind of a crazy sequence of events that happens if you take out the comedy. Like,
oh
whoa.
Yeah, if you frame this as like a thriller horror drama, you can pull that off. With pretty much the exact same story. I
mean, there was a shark in here, there was like a Jaws moment even. So, yeah, like this movie had everything. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it just had it all.
It had it all. I really fucking loved it. So in terms of enjoyment, I'm pretty high on it. Especially relative to all the comedy movies we have covered. I won't spoil things to come, but when I think back to Spaceballs and MASH, which I think are the only two comedies prior to this that we can really, really point to. I mean, The Breakfast Club is considered a comedy by many, so but
really
not the same kind of comedy. To be sure, this is nothing but comedy in Ace Ventura, and I like it a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed a Spaceballs or MASH. Like I'm thinking somewhere in the 4s.
Oh yeah,
not a 5. Not quite that. But I'd be comfortable in the 4.5 range. Like I really, really enjoyed it. I laughed a few times. I like, I'm an animal lover, so I'm leaving this as one of my favorite comedies ever. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that's right where I was too. It's not a 5, it's not a Jurassic Park. It's not a Malcolm X. It's not,
it's not a Lion King.
Yes. Like, yes, this movie's impactful, made me laugh a lot, I guess.
Here.
But oh yeah, like this 4.5, that's not bad. Like that's still very great. I mean, in the company of The Shining,
36th Chamber of Shaolin.
Yes, 30. So I mean, yeah, in great company there in enjoyment. So I think that's fair.
All right. And then what are we thinking for the genre as far as a comedy goes? And this is, I found that comedy is the hardest one to do this with.
It is
a genre defining film. I don't know that there is a genre defining comedy because comedy's so subjective. I can't guarantee you.
Everyone's favorite comedy is different. You have everyone that's like people who are in like the Step Brothers camp. Like I'd say that's a pretty genre defining. If I had to pull like a genre defining comedy,
that was the first one that came to my mind too, just because there are so many people I knew growing up who would tell you their favorite movie period was Step Brothers. So like I don't know if that's just because we grew up at a certain time where Step Brothers like is a nostalgic movie for us in many ways. It's really interesting. I've kind of cooled on Step Brothers over the years, despite how fucking hilarious it is. But I think it's just because I watched that movie into the fucking ground. Like I saw that movie tens of times.
I think what makes a comedy genre defining is if it is like insanely quotable and you hear people like using those quotes like day to day. Like you hear people like saying like, don't touch my drum set, like you hear Step Brother lines all the time, and like I don't know, like or the character itself, whoever's being played, is like iconic, and that's I don't think without a doubt here that this is an iconic character. But I think this movie is like as close as you can get to genre defining, but like just not
for a comedy.
Like, yeah,
and for that, I don't think like it's the drop there is actually a little bit bigger than it would be for other genres too. Like I think 4.75 is fair for the genre ranking here. Like it's not a 4.9. I don't think. Like I think at that point for comedies, you might as well just go ahead and go up. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, 4.75 definitely feels right, especially when like would you scroll up to like Spaceballs and stuff? Like as far as genre goes there, we ranked that a 3.1.
Oof. Yeah.
And MASH was a 3. So this is a lot better in the comedy genre. So 4.75, I have no doubts, is right there.
Now, this is an interesting conversation when we're talking about how it was made as a film, because it's not the focus to make this a beautiful masterpiece of a film.
Right. The
And
goal is to make it funny.
the whole process of knowing that Jim Carrey wasn't the first cast and him coming into this movie, writing it to be better, and then performing the hell out of it. Like, that is what I think matters with like a comedy, is the performance. Like, that's how funny it is. I guess that's more genre.
See, and that's
I think the performance, I guess, how well the actor performed.
Like for reference, like I think that it had a better story than One That Shall Not Be Named Yet. Better visuals, despite the visual effects, and the One That Shall Not Be Named, and and everything. Like, I end up landing around a 4 out of 5, just because I think there are still things with this movie where I'm like, if you make this movie again, you don't make it the same way, and I feel like that's a pretty important little benchmark of how well the film was made. If you're to run it back, if they're able to make it again, would they do the same things? No, they wouldn't. So it can't be I don't think it can be much higher than a 4.
True. And to give you some idea of what it's in the neighborhood of, it ties A Clockwork Orange, which is interesting. It is a little bit below the 36 Chamber of Shaolin. It is below Apocalypse Now. It is below The Terminator. Let's see. But above Taxi Driver, above MASH by a lot. Above Blade Runner, above Scarface, above Spaceballs for sure. So yeah, I think it's fitting.
It's fitting
pretty well.
And it is interesting, the further removed we are from our earlier ratings. I think we were a little bit more critical at the beginning of this process, and since then we've but I don't know, I look back on that Clockwork Orange score and and it's like,
I think it was just the movies back then were either just so hit or miss. It was either a classic that was timeless and they didn't really focus on like just bad social things that were happening around the time, like I don't know, like Taxi Driver was just like not really enjoyable, like it was just like an older movie that was just kind of like didn't stand up to time, I would say.
I agree.
But like now that we're getting into these, I don't know, I feel like our age too, like these movies are more of the classics that we think of.
We watched as youngins. Yeah, true. That's fair. But yeah, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective clocking in at a 4.42 out of 5. That's a pretty good score for a comedy. I don't know if it'll get matched. But I guess we could find out tomorrow as we cover another Jim Carrey movie with The Mask, and then we'll cover another Jim Carrey movie the day after that in Dumb and Dumber. So we got some comedies over the next couple days that we'll see if they stack up to Ace Ventura. But I don't know. I'm feeling pretty hot off Ace Ventura right now. It's a damn good film.
Surprised me a whole lot.
Oh, indeed.
Ooh. Question. One word to describe this movie.
Ooh. I like this.
I forgot previous episodes to ask this, I think, but I will try to remember as much as I can.
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. This is an interesting one.
This is tough. This wasn't this. I asked this for The Lion King, and this was a pretty easy word to nail down for Lion King, I think. This one is a little tougher.
Yeah, because like the one that I go to is just not creative. It's the obvious. This is fucking funny. But
I'd say performance is the only other word. I think like the performance that Jim Carrey puts on in this movie is the thing that defines it the most out of anything. So I would say like, I don't know, but that's not like a descriptive word of the movie. So
maybe I go with like the presence. Jim Carrey's presence in the role as Ace Ventura, it's needed. I don't think this movie is as much a classic if it's not Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura. I don't know that Rick Moranis does Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the justice he deserves here. It probably comes off a little bit more of like probably a little bit less stupid, a little bit less raunchy at points. It's just kind of a rom-com about this dude saving a dolphin at that point, probably. But Jim Carrey is what elevates it to being kind of like hilariously funny.
You know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna say Jim Carrey.
There you go.
That's my word. Just Jim, if it has to be one. What a guy! What a performance!
What a guy! What a legend! The man, the myth. With that concludes this episode of the Penny Bloom podcast covering 1994's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. This has been a fun week. We covered Lion King yesterday on Sunday. Today, Monday, we cover Ace Ventura. Tomorrow, The Mask. The day after, Dumb and Dumber. On Thursday, we're going Pulp Fiction. On Friday, Forrest Gump. And on Saturday, Shawshank Redemption. 1994 was a big fucking year, and there's no better way to celebrate us making it about halfway through our list than just absolutely destroying a week of pods. It's going to be a lot of fun, and only more fun to come. With that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Well, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find well over 22 hours of exclusive content at this point. Plenty of artwork I post up over there, too. All that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. Costs me money. Don't make any. So that's huge. If you would, go to Twitter, follow @PennyBloomPod, where you'll get updates week to week on what movies might be coming next. I just listed off all those. None of those are going to change, but if they were to, you would find that on Twitter @PennyBloomPod. Follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's one of the only ways the show can grow, along with you sharing it with your friends. If you think it's good, you think it's enjoyable, go ahead and share it with somebody. And yeah, with that, peace, love, and bloom. And if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.